Most of you all received pre-work. How many of you did receive the email saying that you had pre-work by raise of hands? Okay. How many of you remember seeing that it asked for you to let me know if you were going to do it? Okay. So just notice whether you followed through on that, because that is actually part of your workshop. Your workshop started when I sent that pre-work, to just notice what happened within you around what you noticed, what you decided, how you decided, what you thought you had to decide. I think I heard Glenda saying, how did Judy know that I needed to, or I should, or I had to, or whatever? So we get requests, we give requests, and we have all kinds of assumptions about what it means, whether we do it or not do it. You don't have to do the pre-work. How many of you thought you didn't have a choice? Raise of hands. Like on some level, that might be why you didn't respond back. Okay. Okay, Judy expects me to. The authority figure will get mad at me. I might get in trouble, right? So just to let you know, I had 4 people respond out of about 30. And one said, I will take a shot at some of this. So I wrote back, can you let me know what some includes, please? Because when we're holding people accountable, which we really can't do, it's important to know what the communication is actually saying, the giving of it and the receiving of it, and to know why we're communicating what we're communicating. So as you guys all probably remember, this is a chart that I talk a lot about, and it's about when we're doing things from a sense of somebody else is telling me to, I really don't have a choice, I have to, I ought to, I need to, I should, or I can't is going on. When we're coming from being self-directed, we're checking in. Do I want to do this pre-work? Do I want to do all of the pre-work? Do I want to do none of the pre-work? How am I feeling about it? Am I going to agree to it, disagree? Am I going to ask for a third option? Am I going to, if you notice, agreeing and complying look very similar. Rebelling and disagreeing look very similar on the surface, but they come from 2 completely different intentions. So when we are in this side, we are accepting the decision, and we're responsible for the relationship, we're responsible for the task, and we're responsible for the effects that we have in the choice that we make. So some of you may have ignored the email. You may have ignored doing it. You may have ignored considering it, because you thought you had to, and it was easier to not even go to the place of what am I feeling about it, and what do I want. And sometimes when you're offering, or you're asking for something, you're not willing to say, gosh, I don't think I really have an agreement. I'm just not going to pay attention to that. The person said they're going to try to get some of it done. I'm going to settle for that. Or they didn't respond, so maybe they're going to do it. So some of these things are going on all the time, and we are not paying attention to, what does that say about me? What is it that I'm learning from this about accountability? Because we can only be accountable when we're aware of what we're operating out of. And we can only ask others to be when we're tuning into whether they're being accountable. Part of what makes this hard to do is that so many of us live in pseudo-community. And pseudo-community is when we want to act like everybody's agreeing. And so we're going to be keeping the peace at all costs. We won't say something that might get us a bad mark in somebody's mind. Or we're afraid that if we disagree, that somehow there's going to be a power struggle. So we just avoid it altogether. Can you guys relate to this? Anybody feel like in looking back on the pre-work that some of that might have been going on? I don't want to say I don't want to do it. I don't want to admit how I'm really feeling about it. How many of you might have gotten it and said, what? Is she kidding? A week and she's got, 8 things on here? Anybody by raise a hand? Think that? Or no way I'm doing this, right? So you just want to notice where you go with it. If you feel a little angry about something, or if you feel a little resentful, or like you're complying resentfully, it's important to notice that, because all of those choices affect whether you're going to hold up your end of the bargain in that relationship. So that's happening all the time, and we're not paying attention to it. So the way to get past it is to move from pseudo-community past that fear and that decision to power struggle into, first of all, understanding ourselves and other people. So you have to be able to be empty of all your preconceived ideas of what has to happen and get down to what do I want to have happen. So do I want to do this pre-work? Do I want to be responsible to reply? Do I want to have that connection that's authentic? Do I want to work through my fears? What is the reason for me deciding what I'm deciding to do? Does that make sense? This is really hard for people. We tend to get blocked at pseudo-community and this feeling of power struggle when somebody's asking us to do something. Instead of realizing we could build understanding and make truly accountable decisions, even if they're no, even if they're, I only want to do these 3 items. So I just want you to know that getting to true community is going through the tough places of facing the things that we're afraid to face, saying the things that are hard to say. Gosh, I got that pre-work and it kind of really threw me. I think I want to only do 2 things. And knowing that that's an option and not assuming that because an authority figure told you to do something that you have to do it. So I wanted to give you a couple quick tools around accountability. One is to know how to make accountable requests and to respond to requests. Some of you guys have heard this before, but I want you to just, it's kind of a preset for something that we're going to do at the end. So when you make a request of somebody, if you notice in my email, if you look back on it, it said what I want is. It's very hard for people to say what I want is. And I also said, are you willing? So be direct when you want people to hold up their end of the bargain. When you're giving a response, an accountable response is to say, oh, so Judy, you want me to do these 8 things before the meeting. Did I get that right? Yes, here's what I'm willing to do. So somebody wrote back and said, wow, this pattern that you describe is part of my normal routine. And I wrote back, does that mean this is a yes on each commitment? Somebody else says, I've been working on my pre-work. A couple of them are challenging. I just said thank you. So sometimes we're saying we're going to do something and we're not really saying, yes, I'm committing to this. So you want to say, is that what you wanted me to do? Is that right? And the most important part is, and my response is no. Or my response is yes. Or my response is I'm willing to do the first 3 or whatever. We don't like saying I want because when we were kids, we were ashamed of that, for that. We were told that we were selfish, that we were too demanding, and that we would be criticized if we didn't do something, or we would feel afraid to ask for something because we didn't want to hear the no, and we didn't want to be that direct. The truth of it is, even if you're not asking directly for what you want, you're getting a no anyway. You might as well ask and have it all on the table. And it may be that you're getting a no for something that you would get a yes for if the conversation were to be had. As kids, we were punished and criticized for persisting. People wouldn't answer our requests. So we'd say, well, are you going to do the pre-work? Are you going to do the pre-work? Well, if you're going to nag me so much, forget it, right? We stopped trusting ourselves to say no or yes because we saw a lot of modeling of people not doing that well. And so then we started being codependent. Well, I've got to read everybody's mind and know if it's okay to ask for what I want. We don't like saying no because we have a lot of messages that we're selfish or bad if we say no to something. And we think we have to give a lot of justifications. You don't. I didn't do the pre-work. I didn't want to do the pre-work, period. So you could have said no to it. We fear the criticism and rejection if we say no. We feel that we're going to be punished or criticized for not doing it with certain people. And we had that from the time we were little. What do you mean you're not going to share your toy at Christmas? You go share that new toy you have. I don't care if that's your favorite toy. You go share it, right? So we take too much responsibility for others, and we do that codependency thing again. So the other tool I wanted to give you, and you guys have all of these on your table, is as much as we don't like saying what I want is, we don't like saying I don't like it when you. Doesn't that sound terrible? I don't like it when you. I don't like it when you show up late for work. Because what I want is, I want us to have awesome touch points with our customers. And I want us to have really good respect between us. So I'm not going to tear down your character. I'm going to say, I don't like it when you're late, not I don't like it that you're this unreliable jerk, right? You just say, you say, this is the behavior I don't like. And you say what you desire, not what you don't desire. So what I really desire is just to have a well-oiled machine and really be effective with things. And then the last step is asking for specific behavior changes. When you want people to be accountable, ask them for so if you're always late, I want you to be there 30 minutes early to the next event. Would you be willing? Are you willing? And if you're going to be late, I want you to call me. Are you willing? So you might have multiple things that you're going to ask for in terms of behavior. So what I'd like to do now is take the last 5 minutes doing a quick exercise. And I want somebody that would volunteer for me that has somebody that they're having trouble holding accountable for something. And we really can't hold others accountable. So what I'm saying is who has somebody that they aren't getting the cooperation they want with? Because accountability is an inside job. You got somebody, Mark? Come on up real quick because we only got 5 minutes. And who in this audience could you ask to represent this person that you can't get to be accountable?
Who could I ask to represent?
Yes. Who would represent them? And they don't have to look or be. Just ask somebody to represent this person. Dominic, you didn't know what you're getting into.
Hello, Dominic.
Okay, so Dominic, I want you to stand right here in the center. And Mark, you're going to pretend like you're on the end. Come down a little bit further. Pretend like you're on the end of a thermometer. So you turn this way to Mark. And Mark, I want you to do, if you guys look at your sheets on the table, you'll see the thermometer exercise. And it shows 27 things that could be tried when you're trying to get somebody to be accountable or to cooperate with you. And that's not everything. Notice on the list it doesn't say stand on your head. So you could do all kinds of things that are not on the list. What this exercise is about is we often think when somebody's not being accountable that it's the other person's fault. In this exercise, you get to take a look at what am I doing that's not getting me the result I want. So right now, Dominic is on neutral. He cannot speak to you. He cannot answer anything that you ask. He cannot say anything. If he takes a step backwards, it means he's even less wanting to cooperate with you. If he stays at neutral, it means he's not moved either way. And if he moves toward you, it means that you have won him over to cooperate. So he's just representing this person that you want to have get something. So just briefly say, what is it you want from this person? And then go ahead and start trying to influence his cooperation.
Dominic, we have a big customer who needs a new catalog. Please make sure it's in the box when they deliver it. And when you put it back where you have the boxes, please make sure that happens.
Okay, so how did you get that result?
That was positive.
Okay, do you guys see anything that you would also add that he did that got him that result?
Very specific.
Very specific, okay. So you got a little cooperation, so see if you can get some more.
Give him a raise.
I'll teach you my great jokes. Let's see here. No. Take it from there. This is actually a scenario.
So here's the great thing. You want to try anything different. What you're really committed to doing is, I want to influence, I want to see where I'm getting a result and what I could do differently if I'm not getting the full result that I want.
Okay.
So just try something that you maybe haven't tried before.
I haven't tried it before. I'll buy you lunch.
Can I borrow this from you? Mark, here's a couple possible ideas.
Let's see. How do you feel we should have a process of having things go smooth for you when we put additional things in boxes other than just a product?
Okay, so he's kind of neutral on that one. So how did he get that result? Why do you think you got that result? Wasn't specific enough, maybe? Maybe it was something he didn't want to do. It didn't float his boat. So try something else.
Let's see. Do you feel putting things in the box is easier every day or harder every day?
Okay, so he's not real motivated by that.
Any suggestions, Judy? I'm running out of time very quickly.
Tell him how much you appreciate.
I like your haircut.
Oh, no. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Next volunteer, please.
so if you look at the top of that paper, what I really want you to know is that we think that we're communicating effectively. We think we're asking for things in an accountable way. We think it's the other person's fault when we don't get a result. And it's really important for us to notice if I'm not getting a result, I wonder why. You know, I have people say sometimes, well, I can't deal with this person because they're so arrogant and they're so mean to me. And I said, well, why don't you ask them how you're intimidating them? And they're like, whoa. So we don't think to ask that, how are we getting the result that we're getting? So I hope that some of this has been helpful to you in looking closely at why do I make or don't make accountable agreements? How do I help others to make them more honestly? And to pay attention when they're not, so that you say, is that a yes or is that a no? I think my time's up, so do you all have any questions? Nobody? Yes?
So, I guess, how do you know when it's right to discipline somebody when you have just a simple request versus say, okay, you know, tap in a busy day and they got distracted. Maybe, you know, it's a rarity.
Okay, so I think you're asking when somebody's not following through, when do you finally like cut your loss and say they're just, or reprimand them, or I think that most of the time we need to make sure that we have done everything possible before we go to that next step. So a lot of times we'll try one or two things to try to get the cooperation and then we'll quit after that. So what I would do is ask the person, look, I'm to the point now where I want to reprimand you or do something about this because it's just so, destructive what's happening. Is there something that you can tell me that would help us have a breakthrough on this? Like, have those difficult conversations about, this is not working for me, but I don't want to resort to this. So how can we fix this at this point? And if they say, well, I don't know, it's your problem, then that's a pretty good answer to, maybe I need to let you go. Okay. Anybody else?
To make comment on your question, my experience from supervision is that we tend to want to lay blame. We want to find someone that we can blame for what's going on. And that's usually the beginning of a serious problem. If you take responsibility for it first, you'll find that 99% of the time, you'll find that you really created the problem, not the other person.
Absolutely. And we tend to throw people away when we get frustrated because we don't know what to do. And I would suggest that people actually get more support when they don't know what to do. Because, how many of us have thought, like you even said something like, I'll teach you all my jokes. No, I'm kidding. You don't know that wouldn't have been a really great thing to do. Hey, I got some great jokes, Dominic. If if we work well together, we could have more fun together. And that could have been the thing that he would have said, all right. So.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your insight.